Registration, Evaluation, Authorization and Restriction of Chemicals REACH Part 3. Authorization List. ICA regularly assesses the substance from the candidate list to determine which one should be included in the authorization list as a priority. The prioritization is based on information on the intrinsic properties, wide dispersive use, or high volume that fall within the scope of the authorization requirement. ICA launches a 90-day public consultation as part of the process. Recommendation for authorization list. Sunset date from which the placing on the market and the use of a substance is prohibited unless an authorization is granted or the use is exempt from authorization. A latest application date by which applications must be received if the applicant wants to continue placing the substance on the market or using it after the sunset date. Review periods for certain uses, if any. Uses exempted from the authorization requirement, if any. Exemptions. There are some generic exemptions from the authorization requirement. In addition to these generic exemptions, ICA may propose substance and use specific exemptions where specific EU legislation already exists that provide the minimum requirements for the proper control of the risk to protect human health or the environment. Restriction. Restrictions are an instrument to protect human health and the environment from unacceptable risks posed by chemicals. Restrictions are normally used to limit or ban the manufacture, placing on the market, including imports or use of a substance, but can impose any relevant condition such as requiring technical measures or specific labels. Restriction continue. A restriction may apply to any substance on its own, in a mixture or in an article, including those that do not require registration. For example, substances manufactured or imported below 1 ton per year or certain polymers. Substances not recommended in articles. The identification of a substance as a substance of very high concern and its inclusion in the candidate list can trigger certain legal obligations for the importers, producers and suppliers of an article that contains such a substance. REACH defines an article as an object which during production is given a special shape, surface or design that determines its function to a greater degree than its chemical composition. According to REACH, articles are, for example, clothing, flooring, furniture, jewelry, newspapers and plastic packaging. Notification of substance in articles. Producers and importers have to notify to ICA the substances listed on the candidate list which are present in their articles if both the following conditions are met. The substance is present in their relevant articles above a concentration of 0.1% weight by weight. The substance is present in these relevant articles in quantities totaling over 1 ton per year. Companies have to notify no later than 6 months after the inclusion of the substance in the candidate list. Exemptions. There are two cases when a notification will not need to be required. The producer or importer of an article can exclude the exposure of humans and the environment to the substance during normal or reasonably foreseeable conditions of use of the article, including its disposal. In these cases, the producers and importers will give appropriate instruction to the recipient of the article. The substance has already been registered by a manufacturer or imported in the EU for that use. Communication in the supply chain. Directly after a substance is included in the candidate list, suppliers of articles which contain such a substance in a concentration above 0.1 percentage weight by weight have to provide enough information to allow the safe use of the article to the recipient of the article. In this case, recipients are industrial or professional users and distributors but not consumers. As a minimum, the name of the substance in question has to be communicated. Consumers can request similar information. The supplier of the article has to provide this information within 45 days free of charge. Extended safety data sheets. Safety data sheets include information about the properties of the substance or mixture, its hazards and instructions for handling, disposal and transport, and also first aid, firefighting and exposure control measures. The format and content of the safety data sheets are specified in REACH. A safety data sheet should be provided to downstream users for a substance or mixture that is classified as hazardous according to CLP. A substance that is persistent, bioaccumulative and toxic PBT, or very persistent and very bioaccumulative VPVB, or a substance that is included in the candidate list of substance of very high concern SVXCs. Exposure scenarios. Exposure scenarios provide information on how the exposure of workers, consumers, and the environment to hazardous substance can be controlled during use. Relevant exposure scenarios should be included as an annex to the safety data sheet of a substance when a company in the supply chain has carried out a chemical safety assessment under REACH. Do what? Stay safe. Thank you.